fucking knew it. I fucking knew I couldn't trust you. I fucking knew it. Is this gonna work? Being doxxed. Hello, everybody. Macgoni Shadak Anno here, world's laziest film nerd. I'm here after announcing my retirement like 5 minutes ago. We're back. That's right, Movie Mackle is back. So like I said, I'm retiring the channel from major projects, but I still want to do lazy ones like this, where I just shout my thoughts on film into the void. Because, you never know when this could be useful one day. Like, maybe someday I'll be on the news for something horrible I did, and someone watching can be like, I wonder what that guy thought of Elemental. And here you go, you have it. What did I think? I watched like 3 fucking movies yesterday. I'm on a fucking roll trying to get these Oscar noms out of the way, and also just 2023 movies as a whole. I watched 3 of them yesterday. I watched Oppenheimer, Elemental, and American Fiction. That's a good place to start. Just kind of ramble about these for a few minutes each. Oppenheimer was great. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. I like Nolan. When I heard it was 3 hours and it's about the guy who made the atomic bomb, it's not like that's not an interesting subject. I just felt like I knew exactly where the movie was going to go. Like, obviously I would learn some stuff about it. Like, I'd learn more about the people involved. Really, I knew like almost none of the names in this movie. Obviously, like Harry Truman and Albert Einstein, I'm aware of them. Heisenberg, I guess Oppenheimer now. Honest to God, I don't even know if I actually knew what his real name was, what his name was up into this, or I just forgot about it. Until like the movie was being promoted. I didn't learn it from watching the movie, but no, it's really well presented. It's really well done. I think there's stuff that could arguably be cut. Mainly, for me, it was mainly Florence Pugh's character and Casey Affleck's character. Even though I think they both add something. It's just when you're making a movie that's 3 hours long, I really feel like you need to justify that runtime, and I feel like Oppenheimer does for the most part. But I almost feel like if I were to rewatch it, there would be parts I'm kind of skimming just because they're not as interesting. And 3 hours is just such a big commitment. But like, if there's 3 hour long movies that I love, don't get me wrong. Fucking, why am I wearing a seatbelt while parked? The film was very well made. It was very well edited. There was like this anxiety and horror to the editing and the film score. A lot of the film score kind of sounded like alarms going off in the back. Like they kind of incorporated certain sounds to the music that really fit in, really added to the terror of what they've done. I think it's a very nuanced movie in the sense that it's definitely not nuanced in the sense of whether or not the atomic bomb was a bad thing. It seems to be pretty on point that the atomic bomb was a bad thing. But I think someone watching this, I think someone could watch this who views it as a necessary evil, and I feel like someone who could watch this who thinks it's a horrible thing that we've done. And I'm not like supporting the people who see it as a necessary evil. I don't like it either, but it's like, I think that it is just kind of honest. It is just kind of showing it for what it was. When I was watching the movie, I was doing a lot of research. Normally, I wouldn't recommend being on your phone during the movie, but I kind of used it as a way to help myself, just kind of keep myself informed on certain people. I was looking up people. I was trying to see how accurate parts of the movie were. And I ended up looking Edward Teller, the character Ben Safdie plays, and I was reading some of the stuff he said when he was interrogated, and I was like, all right, that's interesting. And then in the movie, word for word, like at 30 minutes later, Ben Safdie's sitting in that room and he's saying exactly what I just read. I mean, it was spot on. And I was kind of like, okay, they're really like being true to what happened here. Because there's other like movies based on true stories. One that I even watched recently where they're going to change a lot up. And I'm not saying this movie didn't do that, but from what I can tell, it's a pretty accurate telling of this story. I loved the cinematography. I loved the smoky effects in a lot of the scenes. Some of the time it's like, they're there for a reason, and other times it's almost more metaphorical. It's more of like just something with Oppenheimer's conscience and all of this. I think they fucking nailed the ending. The ending sent chills down my spine. It was a great way to end it. All in all, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, maybe some stuff that could be trimmed out, but I'd have to watch it again. Like I said, Florence Pugh's character, I like her as an actress a lot, and I think she did a good job in this movie. I just don't know how much her scenes really added to my experience personally. And the scene with Casey Affleck, I thought that was a great scene. He's super intimidating, but it's just in the grand scheme of things, did we really need that? It's, I don't know, it's a lot of the scenes that focused on like the Communist Party that I wasn't like, it's relevant to the person and it's not completely irrelevant to the movie. I don't know how well it tied into the end of the movie. I guess it's, again, it's relevant, but um I don't know. It almost feels like you would need to put more focus on that, especially Florence Pug's character, because she's in and out of the movie pretty quickly. So for them to have like give it this big significance near the end, and I feel like they almost needed more of it. But then again, I'm like kind of asking for some more of something that I don't know if it necessarily needed to be in there either. I don't know. These are the parts of the movie that I'm like still kind of scratching my head about. These are the parts of the movie where I'm like not sure if I like them or not yet. But most of it I pretty much loved. I was also very interested in seeing who like showed up in this. There was a lot of surprises. Josh Peck was probably the biggest one. Ben Safdie was kind of a surprise, but he's shown up in a lot of shit lately. I was not expecting to see Rami Malek. I was not expecting to see Huey from The Boys. Just a lot of familiar faces popping in and out. I liked all the performances a lot. Honest to God, I think Matt Damon's character was like my favorite performance of the movie. He kind of had this like dickhead energy to him. But I thought he was very funny in certain scenes too. Like I love the scene where Oppenheimer, like they're about to set this off in 2 hours, the test, and he's like basically telling him that there is a chance that it's going to cause a chain reaction that ends the world. And it's like, he's been working with these guys for 3 years and this is the first he's hearing of it. Like I loved his reaction in that scene. Was he nominated for like best supporting actor? Would not be against that. I forget. Someone from Oppenheimer is up for a Best Supporting Actor. I don't know if it's him. It might even just be Best Supporting Actress with Emily Blunt. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oppenheimer good though. I'm having it at a 9 out of 10 for now. I doubt it'll go to a 10. It might even drop down to an 8. But I'm feeling the high of just experiencing it, and I really enjoyed it. Next is Elemental, a very drastically different movie to watch after Oppenheimer. They both have fire, kind of. I think that this movie's real strength is its two main characters. I liked both of them a lot. I liked their designs, I liked their voices, I liked their personalities, I liked their chemistry. um, I did not really like the film's story that much, mainly just because you can kind of see, like, you watch 2 minutes of it and you kind of got it down already. You know exactly what it's gonna be. And I think Pixar movies have been a bit more on the nose for a while now. I think they kind of started with Inside Out. And it carried on into movies like Soul, where you kind of get what the message is at the very start. It's okay, I feel, to like, be a little bit more obvious since it is a family audience, and that family is largely going to include children. That's probably the target demographic, I would say, of Pixar movies. That's a fair assumption, right? So I get wanting to make it more simple for them to understand, and I think it works really well in Inside Out and Soul. I like those two movies a lot. In this one, it's very on the nose, and I don't know. I think that I don't really have a problem with that. I just kind of wish there was more to the story. Because like again, without these two characters and their interactions, I feel like this movie would have nothing going for them. I do not care about any of the side characters in this. The father's okay. Like I guess like the two families are fine. I like the father's the only one that really gets a lot of time to develop, but Wade's family, they were fine. I didn't mind the scene with them. But then you have characters like that Cloud lady, where I didn't like her at all. I kind of thought she was like, in the scene she's introduced, she's being just kind of just being a bitch. She's just yelling at a sporting event. And then she gives like this like story about her and her father. Oh, it means so much. I'm sorry I got so worked up. It just means a lot to me because I went with my dad. It's like they're all making the parallels with their dad. Wade has a weird relationship with his father. So does the fire girl. It's like they're making that parallel, but then immediately after she's like, all right, you guys can get this fixed. I'll get rid of the citations, but if not, I'm shutting you down, like just very bluntly. And it's like, all right, yeah, no, you seemed like a human for like 5 seconds, but we're back to square one with you. I don't like you. I don't enjoy being around you. There's that rock kid, that ground kid, where I feel like the only reason he's in there is because they realize they're making a movie about the four elements, about wind, earth, fire, and water, and they forgot to do earth. There's just background characters for earth. Like, shit, we need an earth character. Here's this kid, we'll give him like a total of 1 minute in the movie. Wasn't there fucking memes about that kid too? Wasn't there people like losing their shit? Oh my god, they got this kid in it. Like I don't know. I vaguely remember something like that. He added nothing. I'm sure some people thought these characters were fine and thought they were cute, and I do as a whole enjoy the movie. I liked the visuals of it a lot. I liked the city's design. I feel like maybe we could have seen a little bit more of it. It's kind of just used for montages, if anything. But I again, like, I think what made me enjoy it, because I wasn't expecting to, if I'm being honest. This one did not seem like it was going to be at my alley. What really won me over was the two main characters. So I enjoyed them a lot. And it brings it up to a 6 because it's like it's well animated. There's something that takes up a majority of the runtime that I'm enjoying. So despite its flaws, I still think it's good. I think it's above average, but it's definitely one of the weaker Pixar movies. At least, like, I don't know. In recent years, they've been getting better, I feel. Like, there was that time where they were like, it was Toy Story 4, Cars 3, Good Dinosaur, but I feel like we've been on a good track lately. I really liked Luca. I really liked Soul. Lightyear I heard was pretty awful, but that's no surprise. Yeah, 6 out of 10 for Elemental. I think it's worth checking out. It's at least worth seeing. If you like Pixar, it's worth checking out because it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Though like I said, those two main characters really carried it. I guess I will say one other thing I wish they would have explored a little better was why are they able to interact with each other? They found a very clever way to let them interact when the mom's trying to light the two candles to like do the love test, and she's trying to prove that water and fire don't mix since he can't light the candle or the stick with his finger. But then he kind of creates a way that the two elements can work together by creating a light reflection that causes it to light up. I thought that was clever. But then in the movie, they're just like start hugging each other and they're fine. Like I guess it's like a balancing thing. I feel like they could have explained it a little better, or they could have even explored the potential of a relationship that isn't physically intimate. Because there are a lot of people out there that don't need that for a relationship. Granted, like, okay, with that, you're normally talking about sex. I know people who don't, I know asexuals are probably still huggers, but I think it's something you could explore though. I think I think it would be something like a little bit new for this movie to look at too, because there's been movies that cover the topic of like a family wanting you to date inside of your, like, your own kind of people, your own type, your own race. I mean, that's essentially what the metaphor of this movie is. The fire dad doesn't want his daughter dating someone who's water. Granted, they don't really actually have too much of a negative, they don't have that many negative interactions between Wade and the father. It's kind of all saved for the ending, which kind of appreciate. I'm kind of glad we don't fixate on stuff like that. It was fine. Like I said, as a whole, it was fine. I just think that there was potential to do more of this. There was potential for better side characters. And I think the story could have used like a rewrite or two, but at the end of the day, I think that the two main characters are what is the most important aspect of the movie. And I like Wade, and feel bad for not remembering the girl's name. Honest to God, I feel like they say Wade's name a lot more in this movie, and that's why I'm remembering it. But I liked both of them a lot. I thought they were both really solid characters, and they carried the movie. Finally, I watched American Fiction. I got more movies to talk about, but we'll do it another take. Which another one I wasn't really excited for. It's another Best Picture nomination about writing. Granted, this time instead of a screenplay, it's about a book author, kind of. And I wasn't super interested in it. It's very rare that I like a movie where the writer is writing about writing. It's done very well sometimes. One of my favorite movies ever, adaptation, is exactly that. But I've also seen some where it's just, I don't know, it's really easy to get yourself into a default when you're an artist and you make a movie about an artist. And I'm guilty of that too. I've got Cameraman on one of my channels, which was a web show about a videographer who wanted to make real movies but had to do freelance work. Yeah, I wonder why I wrote a series about that. So, I mean, everybody's guilty of it. I wasn't super excited for it. Then my friend Matt kept posting about it, talking about how funny it was. So that gave me a little bit of optimism. I was like, okay, there are people who are enjoying this one. And then I turned it on, and like the first scene, it's not like I loved it from the first scene and on, but the first scene definitely grabbed my attention. I mean, literally the first couple of seconds of the movie, just like, okay, what a way to fucking open that. And then as I continued watching, I really like grew to like him and his family. I liked the characters a lot. But I was also just laughing a lot. I mean, there is so many good jokes in this movie. There are so many funny scenes. And I was laughing way harder than like I think anything I've watched this year. Just it was just good joke after good joke, good scene after good scene. It's a directorial debut from the director. I forget his name. I'll remember it when we're actually doing the Oscars recording this year, though. And it does kind of show. It's not like a super well shot movie, but it's done competently. There's some scenes that like they shot on a beach that looked really nice. But it's still like the script is really strong. The script is really strong. There's a lot of irony in it. It was very funny. Um, it does have good commentary in it too. I do feel like the jokes are like the commentary is very important, but I think that the humor is like it's definitely commentary that wants you to laugh. It's definitely not something that they want you to take entirely seriously. And even then, it's not like I think someone will watch the movie and get the wrong idea too, potentially, what it's actually saying. Because it is a little bit nuanced too. You do have conversations between, like, there's a conversation between our main character and this author that he kind of doesn't like at the start of the movie near the end that I think helps put things into perspective a little bit better. Um, I don't think that you're necessarily supposed to go into this movie with the exact mindset of the main character. I think that there are points that they're trying to make through this character for sure. But I also feel like you're supposed to be a little bit critical of him as other characters are. I'd say the only gripe I have with this movie, and it's kind of a debate in my head on how much of a gripe it actually is, because I kind of understand, is they do build up this family so much. We do learn a lot about his brother and his sister and this girl he starts seeing and the mother. And then there's like this this house assistant that they have who's getting married to who's like about to get married to someone else they know. And it's they're very sweet characters. You like these guys a lot, but the movie kind of gives up on that at the very end. Like they do have these nice final interactions with some of them, but a lot of them aren't really I don't know. It feels very abrupt. It feels like a lot of them they're more focused on this ending, this really funny ending. By the way, it's fucked up, but it's a really funny ending. Where they just kind of say fuck it to all of that. Like it definitely favors the comedy over the drama and the characters. And on one hand, it's a little bit refreshing to see that, that they're able to like go for such a goofy ending. But on the other hand, the ending still like fits very well within the message of the movie. But also, we're how much of this was actually about the family? How much of this was like how much of it was supposed to be focused on that? Did I get too invested in something that I wasn't really supposed to get invested in? I feel like the movie accomplishes what it set out to do. It just feels like certain arcs and certain characters are dropped. That's all I'm saying. It feels like there was some I feel like there was some scenes missing at the end. Because it does have a very abrupt end, and again, it's a very funny ending. It's a very fitting ending. I liked it a lot. It is fucked up, but it's the right kind of fucked up. But yeah, I don't know. That's my only thing. I feel like there was things that weren't wrapped up properly. But as a whole, I had a great time watching it. It's definitely out of the three movies I'm talking about the most rewatchable. Oppenheimer, I think I like more, but it's a 3 hour movie. It's hard to commit to watching a 3 hour movie. As someone who loves movies, I can admit that it takes something really special to make me okay of sitting for 3 hours. I think Wolf on Wall Street's 3 hours. I love that. I could watch that any day. Green Mile's close to 3 hours. I could watch that any day. Trying to think of another one. There's not a lot of 3 hour movies that I want to watch over and over. There's a couple, I could name a few more like 2.5 hour. Everything Everywhere All at Once was 2.5 hours, wasn't it? But yeah, American Fiction, 8 out of 10, really good. Most of it comes from the writing, but there's some good performances in there too. Jeffrey Wright as best actor, not my first pick, but definitely would be happy with him winning. In fact, he's kind of tied for I don't know. I don't know if I would say he's my first pick, but I mean, I feel like I'm rooting for like everyone else that I've seen equally right now. I think I've got two other movies to see before I've seen all the Best Actor nominations. But yeah, I think like Paul Giamatti would be like great, but I think I'd be equally happy if either of those two went in. Um, so yeah, that's it for now. I got more to talk about. Like I've seen Dream Scenario, I saw Blackberry, I saw The Holdovers, and I'm gonna after I'm done recording this, I'm gonna go watch like two or three more movies, trying to see as many as I can before the Oscar recorded. Anyway, peace.